Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Brandon Shank, and welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Brandon Shank Podcast. We're here, the same team, but new digs. Welcome in my man, Corey in the corner.
What's up, everybody? I feel like I'm in even more of a corner now.
Hey, we had to get a new spot, and I gotta say, I like the new place.
It looks good, dude. It looks sharp. Yeah.
The other office got really hot. We were just talking about that, man.
Yeah.
Another place, I don't know what it was. They tried to smoke us out of there for the last year.
Well, it was the ginormous windows, great view, but
really
when
hot.
the sun hit it every morning, it got way
Yeah,
too
like
hot.
that bunny suit at Christmas. Your man was nauseous. It was
Eggnog.
it was a touch and go.
Eggnog.
The bunny suit at Christmas with the eggnog. You know,
Yeah.
Same building, still up here in Town Center, Virginia Beach. You know, there is some construction downstairs. So if you guys hear some stuff, it sounds like dinosaurs going to the dentist. So
Yeah.
if you hear
Sounded
some stuff,
It
it's
sounded
all
like someone was trying to come through the floor of our office
Yeah.
a minute ago.
yeah, it was pretty loud. So if you hear that,
Well.
nothing's wrong here. We're good. We got it locked in. Hey, I mean, we got to start this show off with what's most important. First of all, the camel made his trek.
He made it in the corner.
He's right there.
I did that on purpose. I did that.
He's here.
Yeah.
He's here, man. All the things that are important are here. The football playoffs are upon us.
Yeah, they are.
I have renewed my season ticket as a Washington Commanders ticket holder because I believe we are going to become great.
Oh,
and
man.
you're not going to be able to get tickets. Because back in the day when you signed up for that wait list, it was like 6-year wait list. So now anybody can get season tickets that wants to. And I'm telling you, it's the time because we're going to get good. I'm just telling you, I said it, and we should start off this podcast with Here we go.
Oh.
Saying,
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
We all know.
hail to the Commanders.
We-
This is the thing. Let me just say this. I have a handful of Dallas fans that are great people. But what Dallas fans don't realize is that the majority of humanity, everybody in humanity is not a Dallas fan. We have a self-awareness they do not. Not only did Dallas have a hyped up false reality, but then they lose to a 7 seed, never to happen before in the NFL playoffs. The biggest downfall and maybe the greatest crash in the history of the NFL happened to them. It is, if I'm a Dallas fan, I first of all want to thank them because we're not even considered to be a laughingstock because of Dallas. Dallas fans are in their own world. And now maybe the Eagles, I don't know. I don't think the Eagles, to me, Dallas has just been such a long running, and people are saying, well, maybe Bill Belichick's going to go there. I would be amazed if Bill Belichick went to Dallas because there's not a chance that Jerry Jones could share a room with somebody of that stature. There's just not a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be tough.
There's not a chance. Jerry Jones likes to talk, and Bill Belichick likes to coach. So it could work, but I don't think there is a chance that he goes to Dallas. I could be wrong.
It'd be crazy.
I think Jerry Jones is 81. He knows his time is limited. He's
Yeah.
got to get a championship.
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna live forever. As much as money as he has, as much as he'd like to. And I respect Jerry Jones and what he's built. I respect what he's been able to build as far as a financier. But everything else, man, I tell you, Jimmy Johnson would have won 7 of them, but they couldn't get along. It is what it is. No, but for real, all you Dallas fans out there, I love you. I'm just grateful for you because the Commanders were the laughingstock for a long time. Not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your window's over. I'm telling you now, the NFC East, it's over. You got too much salary cap coming in at you. Dak's going to cost over $50 million against the cap this year. I mean, get rid of him. Let us take him. I like
Yeah.
Dak. I personally like Dak. I think he's a great quarterback. I know a lot of guys don't, but you know, Dallas fans didn't like Romo either, and I would have taken him. Romo wasn't the problem. There is a consistency in Dallas, and it's not Tony Romo, it's not Dak Prescott, it's not Jimmy Johnson. Do y'all want to guess what it is? I'll leave that open-ended for you, but it ain't those guys. They're not the problem.
Yeah.
They have great talent on that team.
Yeah. For
That's all
sure.
I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Whenever Mike McCarthy was laughing with Dak Prescott when they were playing Washington and blowing us out last game of the year, and he saw his field goal kicker miss the first field goal of the season because it got blocked, at that moment, I said, there's not a chance they win a playoff game. And they crushed us because I even told some Dallas fans, I said, there's not a chance y'all win. I was like, that dude is laughing with his quarterback. And he turns around, his exact words were, what just happened? Your field goal kicker missed a kick. You have a team playing right now.
Yeah.
I know you're loving life, but your field goal kicker just missed the first one. Then and it was blocked, which shouldn't count against field goal kickers. But then the second one he actually missed right behind that.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's You could see it. There was
Yeah.
smoke in the city, man.
Yeah.
There was smoke in the city.
Yeah, I told Buddy the other day, he was actually in the hallway talking to another Cowboys fan, and they were both hanging their heads. And I didn't talk smack or anything, but I was like, oh, the guy was like, well, you don't like the Cowboys either? I said, no, I have nothing against the Cowboys. I just enjoy watching this roller coaster every year.
Buddy's by far one of the most tolerable. I would say this, Buddy's, because there's
Yeah.
people who say they're Cowboys fans and they can't like name any players. They don't know anything. They just are like,
Yeah.
we're America's team. Buddy's a legit fan.
Yes.
He's the most tolerable fan I've ever met
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
Like I can be around Buddy because he's a realist. Not always.
He literally said yesterday, and he's like, yeah, I feel like being a Cowboys fan is like dating a girl and she just keeps cheating on you and she just keeps convincing you to love her.
It's good perspective. That's good perspective. Man, a lot of turning. Nick Saban leaving. Carroll got, Pete Carroll got pushed out of Seattle. Bill Belichick finding new digs. Who knows, man? I'm sticking with Jim Harbaugh for the Commanders. I think that would be
Yeah. really cool.
I feel less convinced this week than I did last week.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm still sticking with it.
It'd be really cool.
I'm still sticking with it. Yeah. And let me say this. Years ago, when the BCS didn't work for college football, West Virginia went undefeated, did not make the national championship. I lived in Oakland, Maryland at the time, represent Oakland. We're coming at y'all March 31st. Just got the keys in the mail yesterday. Can't
That's
wait.
exciting.
The keys to the church. They're in my pocket somewhere,
yeah.
maybe. Let me see.
Are they still there?
Oh, I got them. There they are.
Oh,
there they are, baby.
Jingle, jingle.
Um,
Is there just one?
that's
There's
the
not a
promise
lot.
right there. That is the promise. Those are my truck keys.
I love it.
So when they decided years ago the BCS wasn't working, they made up the college football playoff system. The college football playoff system, they said, well, let's put 4 teams in. And right away, everybody's like, why would you do 4 teams? That's not a playoff. You're still determining 4 teams. If you determine 8 or 12, you could get it wrong and still not be the end of the world. I think they got it right this year. I think Michigan was the best team, period. I think the only team that could have beat Michigan is Georgia. And they didn't even get a chance.
Yeah.
So now they're saying, well, let's expand it to 12. I just want to know who's in the room making these stupid rules. Who said, let's do 4? Like, why would you ever say, let's narrow down over 120 teams to 4?
That's crazy.
And that's going to come down to men in a room and women in a room deciding.
Yeah.
Sports should never be decided in a room.
Yeah.
It should be played on the field. You never have a disputed champion of the Super Bowl in the NFL. You're like, well, there's only 32 teams, but there's a playoff. That is a process.
Yeah.
The college football would say, well, you have to win your conference. And then they wouldn't say you have to, but there's different metrics and rubrics to get to these are the 4 best teams.
Mm-hmm.
But they blew that out of the water with Florida State this year. Florida
Yeah.
State went undefeated, won their conference. They were a Power 5, and they still didn't get in because, their quarterback's hurt. Now, do I agree with that? Yeah. Do I think Florida State was one of the best when their quarterback went down? They kept winning.
Yeah.
So do I think they're one of the best? Talent-wise, no. But they kept winning. So they did everything they were supposed to do and didn't make it as a Power 5 team. So to me, that means somebody decided that they don't deserve it. Well, I would say Washington. Maybe Washington didn't deserve to be there. What? Because they beat Oregon twice. They're a Pac-12 champion. Maybe Washington. If you've watched Washington all year, Michael Penix Jr., he's got an incredible arm. He's an incredible athlete. But that game wasn't close at any point. The national championship game, it felt like it was Michigan's from the get. And Washington didn't look good at all in that game. To me, both Alabama and Georgia were better than Washington, and Texas shouldn't have been there. In my opinion, I'm just saying this. I think Georgia and Alabama absolutely deserved the right to be there. I think Michigan deserved the right to be there. And I could say, well, Washington shouldn't have been there. Florida State shouldn't have been there. And say, well, who was? This is the point. I'm going to sit here and tell you 4 teams. Somebody else will tell you 4 different ones. That's not the way it should be.
Yeah.
Washington should have a chance at the national title. Michigan should have had a chance. Georgia should have had a chance. Alabama should have had a chance. Texas should have had a chance. So do I think Texas is one of the best 4? I personally don't. They didn't win it. They got beat handedly.
Yeah.
I personally don't think they should have gotten in the top 4, but the only reason they got in the top 4 is because Alabama had to get in. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just, it turns into a political mess. So all that to say, now college football is like, we're going to a 12-team playoff. And I just want to know, why is it taking this long? At what point does college football start listening to people that are outside the game? You don't have to play the game or coach the game to have common sense on what works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
There is no disputed champion in any other sport. But college football, well, we got the top 25. Well, then, for the love of God, start the playoffs in November and take your top 16.
Yeah.
I mean, just let's make this happen. And I said for years, why not have the Rose Bowl be a game? Why not have the Orange Bowl be a game? Why not have the Peach Bowl be a game? Or whatever.
So they go into a room, and they have a list of how many teams that they have to bring
With
it down
all
to 4.
these TV monitors all over the place, and all of their
Yeah.
their ranking, and all of their how strength of schedule was, and who they beat that was in the top 25, and the fact that Texas beat Alabama in September didn't have the same weight had they beat them. For example, Texas beat Alabama in September,
Yeah.
but the fact that Georgia lost in the SEC championship and wasn't an SEC the champion for the SEC, they got kicked out. You tell me anybody in that room, because their thing was this isn't for the 4 who deserve it the most. This is the 4 best. Well, can you tell me anybody in that room that's on the college football playoff? Can you tell me to my face and look me in the eye that Georgia could not have beaten Texas or Washington if they played them? Because I would put my entire checking account and savings account. And I don't bet. I don't do sports betting.
Yeah.
But I would put my entire checking and savings account on Georgia if they were to play Washington or if they were to play Texas.
Yeah. Well,
Georgia would not lose to either one of those teams this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Is like they go into this room. How many teams are we talking here that they have to like? Because it's not every team.
This year it was really 5. It was the 4 that made it, or 6. It was the 4 that made it, and then it was Florida State at 5, and then Georgia was a hidden one. The reason Georgia didn't stand a chance was because they just got beat by Alabama and they didn't win the SEC.
Yeah.
So they're saying, well, they didn't win the SEC, they don't deserve it. And I would say you took credibility from Texas for beating Alabama in September.
Yeah.
And so what does it matter?
Yeah.
Do I think Texas had – I don't think the Big 12 wasn't that great this year. It wasn't impressive. The SEC wasn't impressive. In fact, the ACC had more victories over the SEC this year.
Yeah.
By far. And so the ACC champion, and even in the bowl games, I think the ACC was over the SEC. I don't know about how many, but you know, I'm gonna look it up and tell you. But that's why they're saying, the SEC is just celebrated for the wrong reasons, man. It ain't what it used to be. I don't care what anybody says. So let me see if I got you here.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the ACC. The SEC was 5-4. These are the conference bowl teams. Let me see.
I feel like I need to play elevator music or something.
Yeah, I'm not good at researching on the fly. Yeah.
I don't know why I'm singing that song.
Yeah, I don't know how to find this.
No, you're good. I believe you.
Yeah, but it is what it is, man. It's just one of those things. It's frustrating. But I think it's just the only time I have trouble is whenever people, like, common sense seems to evade us in so many ways. I always think of that scripture where it's like godly wisdom and like how worldly wisdom is foolishness.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the CFP and all that's foolishness. I'm just saying, how has anybody in those rooms not realized that 4 teams was a bad idea from the get? Everybody was screaming from the beginning, don't do 4, don't do 4. And I know it was a money thing. I know it was like made sense to the chancellors and the presidents and maybe some of those people. But in the actual game that people care about, wins and losses, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But how many things in our life are in that same category, Corey?
And what's wrong with more football? Like, I don't
understand
that.
It's a money thing. That's
weird.
all it is. It's a money thing. And so what's happening is all these players are opting out of bowls that don't matter.
Yeah.
And I love what Kirby Smart said. They destroyed Florida State by 60 points. And he said college football needs to decide what they want. They need to decide what they want. You got all these kids opting out, and I'm thinking, why would you play? For pride of the game. I remember when Christian McCaffrey did that, and he played for Stanford years ago, and people were all over him. I can't believe he opted out. He's not a team player. Well, he opted out because he's one of the best players in the NFL right now. He had a resurgence when he went to San Francisco.
Yeah.
But all these players are opting out because the game doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. Remember Willis McGahee back in the day, tore up his knee, but it was a game that mattered.
Yeah.
When he played for Miami. It was a game that mattered, and he ended up having a great NFL career. And now these guys have insurance on them. So I'm just saying, yeah, they're going to opt out because the games, I don't want to go to a Music City Bowl and win a trophy. Like Memphis had, I think, almost all their players play. And some of those games that were teams that weren't the SEC teams or the ACC teams, it was actually more fun to watch. These teams were excited to be there, and those guys weren't opting out. They were wanting to play for their team, and they were actually more exciting to watch. But these bigger teams that had some of these guys on it that were getting drafted this year, they just opted out.
Yeah.
If you're not in the CFP, I get it. And you know what I told my wife? And this is what I do believe. College is turning into such a minor league for the NFL. There will be a time where guys start opting out in the CFP. Like, well, they just want to win a national championship. I think there's coming a time where college football and even the playoff does not matter to them as much as the NFL draft, and they will start opting out of college football playoff games. Why not? You can get hurt if you're going to be a pick in the first 3 picks of the draft, and you're going to the college football playoff. You're like, well, if we win this, that's fine. But what if I get hurt? Like, I already know I've solidified that.
Yeah.
Play for your future. Like, there's going to come a time where I don't think college football championships will matter if it continues down this course. Because it's going to be nothing about – this is all about being in the pros and making money. It's all about money. Money has controlled everything to this point, so why do we think money won't control who actually wins the national championship and if they care whether or not they win it? Because even in the NFL, it's like you could play your whole career, you want to win the Super Bowl, but you make all that money. Like, who really wins when you're 53 years old and you're sitting at home and you have $100 million in the bank or $30 million or $20 million? You didn't win the Super Bowl. You see what I'm saying? But you go back and say, my family's taken care of. And I don't know. I'm just saying it's just ruining sports, man. It's ruining it. That's my soapbox for the day.
Fix it.
It is fix it.
Fix it.
Everybody knows that. I mean, you turn on ESPN, everybody's saying the same things,
Fix
mostly. I mean, there's people on different sides of the thing, but it is what it is. But, hey, you asked for it.
What do I got to do? I don't remember. Listen, everything's crisscrossed and different, and it's changed, and I got it. Nailed it. Nailed that one completely.
Don't blame me. You asked for it.
Are you a candy at the movies guy?
I'm a sneak my own candy into the movies guy.
I need everybody to tell us what your favorite movie candy is. Favorite movie candy. You get 3.
I know mine. 3? Top 3?
Can I pick yours?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
All right.
You can pick it.
And popcorn is included in one of those, potentially. I'm just saying it's a free game. That's all I'm saying is it's free game.
So it's snack.
Movie
snacks.
3. The top 3. Like, if you had 3 snacks into the theater, I want to pick them.
Yeah, so you're picking mine?
I'll take a gander.
Okay, go for it.
Raisinets.
Okay.
Is that one of them?
You know what? I want to hear all 3 of them.
Okay. I want to say Junior Mints, but I don't feel like you're a mint guy. I'm going to say
I'm an enigma.
I'm going to say Raisinets, a ball of chocolate.
It's like a chocolate jawbreaker.
Yeah. Oh, man, this is tough. I'm going to say Raisinets. I know you're a chocolate
I'll give
guy.
you that. You got 3 is Raisinets. You got it.
Oh.
Yeah, you got
okay.
3. You got number 3.
Well, that's good. I'm 1 for 1. I'm going to say, oh, jeez. Sour Patch Kids.
That's number 2.
Yeah!
I don't think you'll get number 1, but
oh, man. Number 1.
Who knows? You might.
Number 1.
It's my favorite movie snack.
Oh, all right. Number 1.
Well, obviously it's man, how'd you get 3 and 2?
Hey, I know my guy.
Sheesh.
Number 1 is going to be Jujubes.
No.
All right, that was a Hail Mary. That was Hail Mary.
I know that.
Number one, Mike and Ike's.
No, that was my dad's favorite though.
Really?
Yeah, number 1, cookie dough bites.
Oh, that's a good one.
The cookie dough bites, man.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Well,
you know,
good. But hey, I'm thoroughly impressed that
Thank you.
got number. I mean, you know the Raisinets things. We've had that conversation. I really like Raisinets.
Yeah.
But Sour Patch Kids, number 2, number 1, cookie dough bites.
Lock in. You want to guess mine?
I would have no clue. I'm gonna say since you made it, popcorn's on your list.
Number 2.
Number 2 is popcorn. All right. Oh man, what? This is like that you can buy.
I'll give you a
the
hint.
movie
One's a
theater.
beverage.
Oh, well, one's a beverage.
That's right.
You're just getting like a
Think deep. What do you go to
Think
movies
deep.
and there's a beverage there that you're like, you can only get that here.
Coke. You getting
Uplift it a little bit.
uplift it?
Slushy.
You get? Oh, I
Gotta get
was
the
gonna say
slushy.
slushy next.
A slushy with some popcorn. Then I got a number 3. There's
So that's no. Oh, that's,
no, that's
1 and
number
2?
1. Slushy's number
Oh,
1.
man.
Popcorn's number 2.
All right, I feel you. And then number 3.
Go after it, baby.
What would Brandon have at 3? I feel like you would want some kind of like fruity sweet. Like you like a spree guy or something? Or you a
Chewy Sprees.
chewy spree
They're
guy?
probably number 5.
Oh man.
It's close. You get one more guess.
Mm.
I love Chewy Sprees. They're probably my top 3 candies overall.
Yeah.
But they're not my top 3 popcorn
Gotcha.
movie things.
You going like I don't know why I feel like you'd be like what are they called? My brain is exploding
What's
right
in
now.
them?
No. I don't know, dude. I'm blanking right now.
Milk Duds.
Oh, I would not have even
Little chocolate
thought
caramel
about
with
that.
some popcorn and a slushie. That's all you need
I
right
would
there.
not even thought about
I mean,
that.
that is the movie. That is the movie delicacy.
Man.
That's the high-end movie snack.
Yeah, I mean,
Little slushie popcorn, Milk Duds. Come on now.
beg to differ, but
Yeah, it's got to be movie theater popcorn. It's got to be if they have like the salts, like the ranch salt or the sour cream and onion on top.
Yeah. Speaking of snacks, can I need to shout out my wife right now
hear it.
because and also to just claim my number one favorite candy of all time. So I haven't had this in a long time. They used to sell it at Cracker Barrel back in the day. And anytime we would go as a family, like I'd like beg my parents, I have to have these. I have to have these. Anyway, a lot of places don't sell them anymore, and they're rare. You can't find them. But my wife, for my birthday, she was so excited. She was like, "You want to open your gift early? My birthday's Friday." So anyway, I was like, "That's fine, whatever." There's this like, she hands me this bag, and it is like, it feels like it's 20 pounds. I'm like, what in the world is in this thing? I pull out this box, and it's just this white cardboard box, and it is 5 pounds. It's just this heavy, heavy thing. And I flip it over, and on the front, it says Boston fruit slices. Those the big fruit slices that are like the jelly fruit slices, the original ones that have like the sugar all over it. She got me a 5-pound box of them, and I've been gorging myself for
Just loving them.
a week.
That's
Dude.
your thing. Is it jelly fruit slice?
Original fruit slices, not the little small ones.
Yeah.
Those are
so they're
not-
big.
Yeah, they're like this big.
And is the middle like? Is it like?
Soft and just so it has like almost like a fruit rind would. It's kind of hard on the outside, but it's really soft in the middle. And it's
Never had 'em.
Oh my god! I'll bring one in tomorrow. I'll bring some in tomorrow. For
Okay,
you.
I like it. I like it. This is the thing.
Fruit
the reason
slices.
I brought up this whole thing about the movies is that I had an experience with Raisinets. I actually fell in love with them over Christmas.
So
Somebody
good.
gave me some dark chocolate ones. I never thought I'd like a raisin with a little bit of chocolate, little gummy.
So good.
You know, it's a delicious little delicacy that it is.
Fruit and chocolate.
But on the box, there was some false advertising, and I'd like to call it out publicly.
Uh-oh.
It said made with whole fruit. Made with whole fruit. And I was like, no, it's not. It's a raisin. It's a raisin that's dried.
It's a grape.
To the point of an unrecognizable grape.
It's a grape.
I was like, this doesn't count as a fruit. America, we can do better.
I'm looking this up right now.
How
I
is a
do not believe
raisin
you.
made with whole fruit? We have dried this thing, packed it, set it on fire, and shoved it in the bottom of a cargo box on a train to be made into a raisinette, and it is considered a whole fruit? Give me
Look
a
it up.
break.
Do raisins?
Not to mention, raisinets are the size of half
have
of a
the
pinky
same-
nail. They're not even the size of a dried grape. They're not even like a legit raisin. They're like a tiny half of a regular raisin.
Raisins have nearly three times the antioxidant capacity. Grapes contain more vitamins than raisins. So, you're getting more antioxidants.
So what are we saying here on the podcast? If you want to eat healthy, grab you some raisinets and some lettuce and have a good lunch.
You see that for all vitamins?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, America, we can do better. Made with whole fruit. Oh, you know what, honey? I don't want the Milk Duds. I'm going to go with the raisinets. I'm trying to eat healthy.
So grapes have more vitamins. Raisins have more antioxidants. So whatever.
We're really having this conversation.
We sure are. I'm defending my candy.
I like
okay?
raisinets. I like them. I just don't understand how they're healthy.
I'm not saying they're healthy. They're covered in chocolate.
It said made with whole fruit.
Well, they're made with whole fruit.
Okay.
It's a
fair.
grape.
It's fair.
Why can't it be?
So listen.
What makes a whole fruit a whole fruit?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you say made with whole fruits, I feel like it's deceiving whenever that particular fruit that is a whole has been completely destroyed from its original premise of its existence and then put chocolate on it, and we're saying eat that.
Here's the definition of a whole fruit. When you consume a whole fruit, you are consuming the flesh, the skin, the pulp. It's a whole thing.
I stand corrected.
It's a whole thing.
Go out and get you some raisinets, y'all. Have a good lunch.
Get some whole fruit.
Dark chocolate raisinets. Not only are you getting the whole fruit, but you're getting the dark chocolate. There you go. Who needs spinach? Who needs spinach?
Whole fruit.
Let me ask you this. There is a list of the worst foods you could eat by cardiologists.
Uh-oh.
Can you give me one?
Anything fried or processed or just if you want like
I'm going to give
actual
them to you.
food.
Chopped liver?
Chopped liver?
Disgusting.
I mean, I've never had it. so-
Breakfast sausages? Yeah. Ready for this one? Margarine? We're all in trouble.
Well, sure. Yeah,
This one,
butter.
we're really in trouble. This one, people will say, I'll just die younger. You got to die of something. Steak?
I don't believe it.
Exactly. You're not even saying you're gonna die. You're just in denial. Bacon.
Don't believe it.
Yep. Deep fried chicken.
I can believe that one.
Yeah. Donuts
I can believe that one.
and bologna. Is it bologna, bologna, or bologna?
Bologna.
Everybody says bologna where I'm from, but that doesn't sound right because when I look how it's spelled,
Well, that's the thing about what we do here in America with
different,
words.
man. We call it what it is.
Nah.
So listen, if you're listening to this right now, try to eat you some Raisinets and stay away from the bologna. Apparently,
Nah, dude, eat steak, steak and eggs,
steak and Raisinets could offset it. We really went south on today's podcast. I feel like really went south with this. I want people listening to know that we care about your health. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we care about your health. So there is a topic that I want to discuss that I was a little hesitant to bring on here because I'm afraid of how you're going to respond to this.
Oh,
I may be able to leave and come back in 30
pure
minutes.
rage.
Yeah. The topic was extraterrestrial will happen in our lifetime.
Let's go.
School us, Corey.
Let's go.
So it said a planetary scientist, there's all this research being done right now that says within our lifetime, even very soon, we're going to discover life on other planets. And he said we're approaching a golden moment to which more and more scientific minds are turning their attention. Within our lifetime, we're going to be able to find life on other planets. There's no question, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
And they're saying U.S. military has logged many examples of unknown phenomena over decades, but no concrete proof of any are related to extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
And it says there's a claim that non-human objects and other things, partially intact vehicles, have been collected and hidden by the U.S. government, but there's no proof of that. And also, they're researching right now for habitable planets that have either biological or technological life, searching for any indicators that civilizations have developed outside of our solar system. So any moment, they're saying, could herald a breakthrough. And this is like a big thing people are pushing for. They're saying people are so interested in life on other planets. It's kind of starting to take over some of the stratosphere around us. And all these scientists are starting to even some scientists are moving towards this study because the scientists are saying there's so much talk about life on other planets. They're saying we need hard evidence right now that life exists so that we can fully delve into it with our life's work.
Yeah.
But there's no hard evidence. There's just a ton of particles around us and things that can't be explained. You know what I mean?
Now, I think the first question is, what do you define as life? It could be plant life. It could be, I'm sure that the definition is biological but it might not be conscious or sentient or, you know what I mean? Like, that's the first thought. Because in my brain, it's like, could there be life on other planet, like plant life and bacteria and also sure. Yeah, like I don't see why there couldn't be, but is there human-like creatures that are sentient and have consciousness? And I don't know. No one knows. That's the thing.
I don't want to rain on anybody's parade. But you know where I'm at with all this.
I know you are. Yeah.
And everything you say can be rooted in the spiritual. It is, right? But I would say the reason I think we are reaching so hard to discover life on other planets.
Yeah.
We're reaching so hard. We believe it's not there. It's just not there. And we will never have the technology to go outside of our galaxy to find it, in my opinion. Like, we can't get outside of our galaxy. There's just no way. There's no way.
It's interesting for sure. I think there's so much that there's been some news recently, and I haven't studied it enough or researched it enough to really talk about it in depth. So, take it with a grain of salt, but there's been some news recently that, the scientific theory of the Big Bang has to be like, whoops, that actually might probably not be right. And their way around it right now, because I can't remember what they found, but in theory, I think they found things out there that should not exist. Because if you track with the Big Bang, there's black holes or something that exist so far out that they shouldn't exist, basically. And they're like, well, so much for the Big Bang theory. But now they're trying to be like, well, there's gotta be a reason for it. Well, that's science for you. Like, it's a great thing. I think discovering things is awesome, and we need to keep doing that. But there's so much we just don't understand. And science wants to have theories that say, well, this is how. Well, it's a theory. We don't really know.
And can we be honest? Let's be honest. People always think that science and religion are in opposition. They actually complement each other.
Yeah.
Science will tell you
Yeah.
that those things, like it's a lot harder to believe in scientific theories of creation than it is a creator. Like the scientific theories behind creation are harder to believe than there is a God that's created everything.
Yeah.
It's the reality of it. I don't think other life on other planets changes. I don't think it changes anything about who we believe, why we believe.
Yeah.
I just don't think it exists.
Yeah.
And now some people say, well, it does change everything because there's one heaven and one earth. And I mean, listen, I'm a simple, stupid man. And God is infinite and all powerful and all knowing.
Yes.
He created all this. And I'm pretty sure none of us can get that figured out.
Yeah.
And so if there's life forms in other places, I wouldn't put it beyond him. He's a pretty incredible, the most incredible, perfect in all of his ways. He's got it figured out.
Yeah.
I just don't think we'll ever find it. That's just me.
Yeah.
I don't think it exists. And you know, some people say, there's biblical principles. I'm not really sure. Like you can, you know what I mean? Like I just know that at the end of the day, life is life. And I don't think there's anything outside of this planet. I think this planet is the apple of God's eye and we are all that it is.
Yeah.
And everything around us is created for us, including the other, you know, all the other things.
Also,
that's just me.
Yeah. The cool thought of like, have you researched like biblically accurate angels, like paintings of biblically accurate, they look like aliens.
Really?
They're like, you know, because oftentimes the way angels are described in the Bible, they don't look like people. They don't look like people with wings. That's just something we adopted. They are weird looking things with multiple eyes and different parts of like there's wings and stuff. It's
massive wings.
Yes, and people have painted these things, and you're like, if I was a person and I saw that, I'm being visited by aliens right now. Like,
that's a good point. And let me ask you this: I hate when people ask me a question publicly, and like they're kind of having a conversation, but then they kind of put you on the spot to ask you the question. You're like, I'm not really sure I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you one of those questions.
Okay.
What's the one thing that angels say to everybody when they appear to them?
Do not be afraid.
Do not be afraid.
There's a reason.
There is a reason.
Yeah.
You're like, well, if it was just like a glowing being, it'd be scary. Yeah. But you might try to fist fight it. But if it's 9 feet tall and it's massive and it looks powerful, you're probably not thinking of taking on a physical altercation.
We'll show you some. I'll show you some pictures.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. It's consistent in Scripture, you know?
Yeah.
Take it back to Jesus' birth. What did he tell Mary? Don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
What did they tell the shepherds? Don't be afraid. Like, constant. Don't be afraid.
I'm not an alien.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah. And it's even funny. Jesus, I mean, obviously Jesus was a man and he was a physical stature. But he even told people, don't be afraid, for I'm with you. You know, like there is a constant, and let me say that there is something in all of us that desires for something greater than humanity.
Oh, yeah.
And so we seek life on other planets. We seek stuff outside here because there's a wonder in all of us.
Mm-hmm.
There is a curiosity in all of us outside of this place.
Yeah.
That is something God has built into us intrinsically and instinctively because that is a desire for him. So you might say, well, am I alluding that desire on other planets is a desire for God? Absolutely. We want something bigger than us to be out there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you who that is. His name is Jesus.
Yeah.
But we want something bigger than us to be out there. And some of us, well, we already found that. So what else is out there? Personally, I think there are things in the sky that we can't identify. I think there are angels that exist. But God is the thing that we yearn for.
Yeah.
We just chalk it up to sometimes it's success, sometimes it's a bigger family, sometimes it's extraterrestrial, sometimes it's inebriated through a drug, whatever it may be. But our like spirits will always long for that.
Yeah.
We're made to be in relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was broken with sin, but we're made for that. And I mean, everything goes back to Jesus. The more you read society and culture, everything goes back to him. We long to have something bigger than this planet and bigger than us. It's just what it is.
Amen.
So I'm going to hit this one topic real quick before we get off of here. A lot of you may not know who T.D. Jakes is. T.D. Jakes is a pastor in Texas. And he is extremely influential, has done so many great things for the local church on so many levels, has reshaped culture, particularly even the black culture within church. Like T.D. Jakes has done so much for them. And I say that because years ago, there was a pastor that was really influential in the black church named Eddie Long. And Eddie Long, there was accusations came out that he had these affairs with boys and young men, and he ended up dying of cancer and denied it to his death. But the church had a black eye on it after that. And then T.D. Jakes recently, it came out that he was at these parties of Diddy's, and they were sex parties, and that he was participating in them. And personally, I don't know T.D. Jakes. I've never met him, but he has been he has been a voice in my life from a distance. I've listened to his messages. I've read his books. Some of his stories, things that God has done is unbelievable. The things God's done and used him for. And I don't know, when I heard that, immediately I was thinking there's no way, but you step back and you start to read things, and he on Christmas Eve said, I'm not going to approach this, but then he did approach it, and he made a statement. He said, if I did this, all I have to do is ask God to forgive me. And it's true that God will just forgive you, but as a pastor, there's a lot more to it. Like, you have to be accountable to the people you pastor. It was just a passive comment. I'm not indicting him. I hope that none of it is true. I love this guy. I love the way he preaches. He has a legit gift of knowledge and wisdom. He has an incredible authority on his life. I think it reminds me that we're all broken. But in the church world, a lot of you that are in the church world, you've heard this name, and a lot of you that aren't, like T.D. Jakes really has bridged that gap of, he's into Hollywood, he has his own talk show, but he's a pastor, a big pastor. I mean, it's the Hillsongs, the Carl Lentz, and I hate to keep bringing these guys up because I know Carl Lentz is trying to, he's trying to do things in his life and rearrange things, and I know Brian Houston's trying to plant churches and all this stuff. Like, I'm not trying to just name drop here. I'm saying anybody in the church world, if those of you outside the church world that listen, which is a lot of you, you're thinking, who are all these people? Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is, no man is perfect. We all are sinners, which is what makes God so amazing. But as pastors, there is a different level. I can speak to this personally in that my name has been dragged through the mud. I have been blasphemed. There have been questions about me, and I have been dragged through the mud for things that I didn't say or didn't do. When people have sin in their life, but they don't want to reconcile that sin, they always blame it on the authority that's over them. And in the church, we believe that pastors are authorities that God gives, not as principals, but as people who can kick down the weeds and create and pioneer ways for you and your family to grow through healing, to go through tough times, to be developed in what God has for you. Like, pastors are there to be an incredible armor bearer for you, as well as in those ways. But people love that until they have to submit to authority. And it's not a matter of, well, I'm your authority, this is what you do. No, it's saying, listen, we're going to fight alongside you and get you somewhere. Yeah. What I've learned is that when people don't have the DNA to fight or the desire, it always comes out on, like, well, the pastor's fault. He did this. Like, people listen, there's many of you listening right now, you've been hurt by the church. And so no pastor will ever be what you need, because you're not in a place where you're not in a place of humility and brokenness where you can actually listen to what a pastor is saying, because you're just hurt. Yeah. And so all pastors are bad. Well, you go to the doctor still if you have cancer. You go to the doctor still if you need an antibiotic. You go to the doctor still if you cut your arm open and need stitches, even though the last doctor you had wasn't very good. Yeah. So go to a church, submit to an authority, because God puts it there for your protection. Because the Bible says that when you're away from the pack, Satan goes around like a roaring lion looking to steal, kill, and destroy. He's looking for that zebra in the back of the pack, right? That's just kind of straggling and looking around. We'll have people leave our church that'll transition to another church, and I'll tell them, if they're in leadership, hey, stay close to us until you find that next church. Just because I know, like, that's when they get picked off. And then you're like, what does that look like? Well, they're like, well, we've gone to a church. We're kind of connected. We don't go that much. And what you know is they slowly stop going to the church. They slowly stop giving. They slowly stop serving. And before you know it, they're not connected. Or they get into an apathetic relationship with the Lord. They're not really connected to their church anymore. And then they're going to find Jesus with eating oranges and granola and climbing trees with no shoes on. Not that you can't find God in nature, because you can. I mean, Romans tells us that. But people start finding God through means that aren't God. Yeah. Things that he's not asking you to do. You're actually trying to find peace. And so places that bring you peace, you think, well, God must be there. Well, God's everywhere. And I say all that to say, I don't like throwing down on people. I'm saying Bishop T.D. Jakes has been a big influence in my life. Whether or not he was guilty, I hope not. And I pray not. I've saw some other pastors post online, hey, this is, I just want to say how much T.D. Jakes has impacted my life. And it actually raised an alarm on me of, like, do they know something's coming? And so they're trying to build up that online thing. Yeah. The online's been wiped a lot, they said, by his team to get all these good articles about him to the front of Google and push these bad ones to the back. Yeah. I hope none of it's true. Yeah. Because if it is, and there's that kind of manipulation behind it, I'm just saying this. If he did it, he has made an impact in my life, and I'm forever grateful for the words he's spoken. Yeah. Even if he did it, right? Yeah. Even if he was doing those things for years, he's made an impact, and God's used him greatly. Yeah. If he didn't do it, where there's this much smoke, you pray that there's no fire.
Yeah.
And so I'm just saying, we live in a society, we love destroying people because it destroys authority, not because it actually destroys people. We hate submitting to something when we know we need it. And so I don't know. It's just it's been heavy on me, man. I just wanted to share it on this podcast. It's never something I'm going to preach about. It's never something I'm going to take time on because it's not the right platform. And I feel like this was of just like all those people out there who you've had somebody in your life you really looked up to that's let you down.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's let me down yet. I've never met the guy.
Yeah.
But I know my heart's broken for him
Yeah.
and his family, and I just hope it's not true. And I'm sure if there's an underworld that I don't even know about, I'm just an ignorant, really sheltered dude. That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I want to be sheltered then, if that's the way it is. But man, I'm sick and tired of seeing all these names get dropped that are doing ministry. It gets old, bro.
Yeah.
It gets old, man. And I feel like Elisha sometimes, I know I'm not the most righteous. I'm a sinner. I've got my own struggles, but it's like, is there anyone left? And God's like, yeah, there's tons of people left.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you just keep hearing about it. And so I encourage all you listeners, some of you're like, yeah, that's why I don't go to church. Well, that's a stupid excuse.
Yeah.
It's ignorant.
Yeah.
You go to Walmart, even though the last time you checked out, the woman or the man ticked you off at you're checking out, you still went back.
Yeah.
Because you needed. And like you gotta get to a church where you can lock in and be a part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think, like, again, obviously, these really big things, they're really big. Obviously, there's no understatement here. But a lot of times, I think you're right. Yeah, you see these things, and then you cast this broad assumption of church and church leadership and this, that, and the other. And once we say the word church hurt, but it's just people. Man. It's just people, man. Like, it's not like, yes, leadership, pastors, they're held at a higher standard. They are.
They should be.
It's biblically.
Well, and you should be.
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, I agree with all of those things. But at the same time, like, there also is just this, like, dude, pastors are people. And if you can't take a step back and realize that they struggle with life just like everyone else does. Now, all these rumors and stuff, those are deep, deep sins. Sure. Yeah. And there's, no one wants them to be true. If they are true, there's physical consequences for our actions and our sins. But at the same time, I think my biggest thing is, having walked through some of this stuff too, is when you do heal from it, you have the ability to step back and realize that person that I was pointing all of that stuff at is a person. We hold these people in such, they are held to a higher standard, but at the same time, they're not God. They're not Jesus. And that's okay. And so you begin to say, like, yeah, they have flaws. They have weaknesses. And that's what makes God even greater. Like, and all of a sudden you realize, like, goodness, I've been casting all of these stones at a person and, like, never stopped and slowed down to just be like, I have my own problems.
Yep.
So do they. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. And we can either agree to disagree, or we can, like, figure it out and move forward. And I don't know, like, just as a broad encouragement to anyone that's been, you want to say hurt by leadership or whatever, it's not the case for everybody. And I think you and I talked about this recently too, where if you're sitting across from a person that has a spiritual authority in your life and they're willing to give you hard truths, that's love. I would be, now knowing what I know, I would be more concerned if you're sitting across from a pastor or a leader, this, that, and the other, that sugarcoats everything. I'd be more concerned of that. I'd rather have the person in my life that is willing to say something hard, is willing to tick me off a little bit.
Or even lose your friendship over what is right.
Yeah.
Saying it's more important, you're more valuable to me that you hear what I'm saying and you chew on it than if you walk away and never talk to me again.
Yeah.
The conviction I have and the character I have to speak this into your life is more important.
Yeah.
Because it'll help you in the long run, even though it may hurt me.
Because if you're married, who's the person that says the hardest truths to you?
If you have a good marriage.
True. I 110%. Yeah. It's your spouse.
Yep.
Because they have that place in your life to say, I'm going to tell you something that is going to make you really, really upset, but it doesn't mean it's not true.
Absolutely.
And when you have a pastor or a leader that is willing to do that in your life, stay close to that person.
Well, I'll tell you this, man, like as a pastor that has had to speak that to people, and maybe I haven't always done it in the right timing, and there's times I've definitely held off because of the repercussions or just the remnant of what's left over. I can tell you there are times I've been really on with it, times I've been waited too long, and times that, you know, like I said, I've walked in and done it when God said, and those are the hardest times because it always feels premature because you always like to wait as long as you can. But I will say this, nobody hurts for people, even if they look at the pastor and blame them. Every pastor that I know, we see what people can be more than what they are.
Yeah.
And so it hurts you because you just think people settle for less all the time.
Yeah.
Than what God has for them, you know? And that's why I hope with T.D. Jakes this isn't true.
Yeah.
Because the weight that this man has carried, the ministry he has done, the things, I mean, I can only imagine the overwhelm and the stress he's lived in. And there's just the stuff he's had to carry in his life. And so I get it. Like, if this is true, it was an outlet. Is it wrong? Absolutely. It's not righteousness. It's not led by God. There's nothing good. But it's deception. It's manipulation. I hope it's not true. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there of like, hey, this is everybody lives. Life isn't supposed. It's not easy. Sin's a part of it. But I just hope it's not true.
Yeah.
I just hope it's not. I hope in a couple weeks we're not on here talking about, because it's just such a fallout.
I know.
And it's such a black eye on the church.
Yeah.
And I know that the church has been around for thousands of years. It's not going anywhere. The church is beautiful and it's spotless. And it's Jesus come back for the spotless church.
Yeah.
And it's never going anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, when God gives people that much influence, it can hurt faith. And now that's the people's responsibility, but it's the reality of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
We are human and we will make mistakes. And I can tell y'all right now, any impact I've made in anybody's life that's listening, I'm grateful for the opportunity to have a platform in your life and to speak truth. And my commitment is to do that. But the closer you get to me, the more you'll see my humanity and know that, and hopefully gain respect for me, knowing this dude is human.
Yeah.
And I think when I find my spiritual leaders, that as I've grown closer to them, you see their humanity, it's actually maybe gain respect. So I'm like, wow, they're walking in that with their humanity. Like, it's really cool. It's actually inspiring.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I think there's just too much of the let's cover it up so we can go as far as we can, instead of let's just be accountable.
Yeah.
Let's honor each other. You know what I'm saying?
It's good.
Yeah. So my final thought is that everyone is a journalist today because we all have cell phones.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like we can't do anything without being caught. I actually went off in a bad way on Caden the other day. My son, he does his own videos. We talked about it last week and all this stuff. And we'll just be in the house doing stuff. And all of a sudden he's in the background, like filming something. I'm having a conversation with my wife. I'm like, dude, can you just like not film right here? I'm talking to your mom. Like, you could hear it on the video and stuff. I was like, I don't want my personal life.
Yeah.
Like there are places in your life you just don't want to have to pour out, and you don't want to have to be videoed. And you're thinking, well, what do you have to hide? Nothing. I just like privacy. Like, I don't want it in the bathroom with me. I don't want it while I'm sleeping. Like, there are things in my life that are private, and I don't want them to be public. But not because I'm trying to hide something. But my point is, I realize, like, this generation, we're all journalists. Everybody, I've seen it happen where there's trauma and tragedy happening. Everybody flips out their phones. I'm like, somebody needs your help. Put your phone away and go help them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think what it does is it's create a fear in all of us. Not of being filmed, but we live in this fear of, we have way more information coming into our heads right now than we've ever had. It's information overload. I always think of Psalm 41:10, where it says, don't be afraid, for I'm with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God, and I will strengthen you and help you, and I'll hold you up with my victorious right hand. And I just think there's a lot of people today, I want to speak to you, like, I know you're fearful. You're not sure what tomorrow holds, but I'm telling you, God holds it, and lean into him and trust him. I know we just came off of this topic where it was like, man, that dude's life could be destroyed if it's real. And a lot of us may live in fear of, what if our life is destroyed? Well, I think I've lived in that fear as a pastor, and I just realized I'm not going to live to not sin or screw up. I'm going to live with a passion for God and just lean into him. I don't want to live in fear, man. I don't want to live in fear of losing things or not being able to afford things or not being able to pay for things. I don't want to live like that. I want to live with a victorious, passionate plea for the things of God.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to encourage everybody listening. Hey, don't fear, man, because God's with you. And I know that all around us, we have so much information coming in. Every one of us is a CNN or a Fox News journalist or ESPN journalist. We think we have something everybody wants. But the reality is the things in the world that are happening always happen. We just didn't know about them.
Yeah.
And that information overload sometimes can be overwhelming for us.
Mm-hmm.
But don't fear, and God's with you. Let me pray for you. Lord, I just thank you for each and every listener. I thank you for all that you're doing. I pray that you'll be with us. We love you. We honor you. We surrender to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, as always, check out the blog. Subscribe. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on iTunes or Spotify. Like the videos. And then Sunday, 9:30, Palms Church. Online, in person, wherever you may be. Can't wait to see you. Oakland, we're coming for you March 31st. We'll see y'all soon. Love you guys.